I'm Ron and I'm back again, you know already, but for another RSR Classic. And tonight I am reviewing the 2017 MLS Cup Final, Toronto FC versus Seattle Sounders. Toronto wins 2-0, and they are your 2017 MLS Cup champions. Let's talk about the game. I'll throw a little bit of a personal story in there, and you know what it is. So, not the whole personal story, because if I talk about what I did before the cup, y'all tune out. I'm not doing that. I'm just going to talk about how I reacted during like one certain play, because that's the funniest part of it. And it's about the cup. So let's go on. So we'll start with the first half. The score was 0-0 throughout the whole first half, but Toronto FC are just dominating Seattle from the first kick. They are dominating. They put their foot on Seattle's throat and they just stomped. They just stomped. It was like, I don't know, MLS History X out there. I mean, they were just like, hey, come on. Boom. I mean, that's exactly what they did to Seattle. Like, this was like, if you could call it that in the words of soccer, football, a massacre. The shots were 12-1 at the half for Toronto. 12-1 at the half. That's how dominating they were in this game. That's how dominating they were. Hell, they were dominating the whole playoffs, but this, oh my, it was different. Because they changed the formation to a 4-4-2 diamond instead of the 3-5-2 they were playing the rest of the season. And that was a smart move by Greg Vanny. And I found this tweet that he did for Ask Greg Vanny that I did ask that question to him. He said, teams in the playoffs to win in the playoffs, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have Twitter up. He said, teams that win in the playoffs adjust well. They adjust better. They adjust to what the games show them. So even though they didn't play as offensively as they did in the regular season, in the whole playoffs, they adjusted to what they saw. And I like that. And that's probably why Toronto is better in cup competitions than they are the regular season, if we're being honest. Because even though they have the flash and the panache, sometimes those flashy performances are just a lot of goals down the throat of the other team, and the defense is a little bit lacking. But when it comes to the playoffs, when it comes to Toronto FC, they just buckle down. They buckle down and adapt. They buckle down and play. And that's the difference. And that's why they're probably better in cup competitions. I don't care if it's 2 legs or 1 leg. I mean, look at last year's playoffs. Should we have even been in the cup? Probably not. But Laurent Simon and Chris Mavinga buckled down. And that's why he went to the cup last year. But we're talking about 2017. But looking at that tweet by Greg Vanny, it just makes so much sense. Because it just does. But, let's talk about 2017. The offense was amazing by Toronto in this game. Seba, who you could say he may not have had his best game. He was awesome. I thought he was great. Back when I first watched it and now. But even looking at it tactically, instead of just like, I want them to win, I want them to score, stop this deja vu. Looking at it this way, I still think he played well. I don't know why people are like, oh, he didn't score, he didn't really create. Yeah, but I still think he played well. Like, if Seba wasn't in this game, we wouldn't have won. We wouldn't have won. I don't know why y'all think it's like, oh, if he doesn't score, doesn't really create, it's a horrible game. It was a great game. Now, Seba doesn't score in the playoffs. Normally doesn't go that way, unless it's like a free kick. That's just the way it is for him. Except that hat trick against New York. He doesn't. He scored in the Champions League, thank God, but we'll see that starting tomorrow. But Seba, if the playoffs aren't just his home, but he can create and he can run well, he could visualize well, and they also had Vasquez to do that. It was perfect. Seba was great. Josie was great. Vasquez was great. Delgado was great. Bradley was great. Everybody was great. Like, this is the best performance ever. Like, overall, out of a Toronto FC team. Seriously. Ever. 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 I have to just love it. It was beautiful. It's just beautiful what they did. That team, I love 2017's team. It was a great team. I'd love to see the current TFC go up against the 2017 TFC, but that's like a what if sports thing. Get on to it. Make an MLS what if sports simulator. I want to see it. I want to see it. Point being is, that team was amazing. And then the defense in that half was amazing as well. Moore, Mavinga, Moro, and Beta solid. Bono, solid. My word, that was amazing. Now let's talk about the second half, because let's just talk about it. So, same as the first, Toronto gets all these attacks, keeps shooting, keeps getting saved by Stephen Fry, the man who haunts my nightmares all the time, even though we've absolved our demons once and now we have him again. Whatever. Keep shooting at him, he keeps saving it. But in the 67th minute, you know what this is. You know. Drew Moore picks up the ball, passes it to Bradley, passes it to Oso, Oso passes it to Vasquez. Vasquez to Giovinco to Altidore running past the Sounders defenders, beating them in a foot race, puts it in, and it's a goal for Toronto FC. 1-0, Josie Altidore, 67th minute, and you know right then, Toronto's going to win this match. And Josie grandstanding, celebrating, not in a bad way, mind you, didn't mean it that way, grandstanding and celebrating, exonerating, exalting our demons. Me, on the other hand, at home, I was watching on this TV in this room, standing right about there, and I just started screaming like all the hurt and torment and pain from this team just came out of my mouth like a ghost, and then I just started jumping around, screaming like I was bouncing off these walls. That's what it was. And the funny thing about that is the story is my parents were asleep, napping, because they were going to go to a Christmas party for mom's work, like around the 75th minute, 75th, 80th minute. All right. So they were trying to sleep for 5 more minutes, because that's what their alarms were set for. They didn't get those 5 minutes, because I was jumping off the wall and screaming like a madman because of that Josie goal. And that vent was open. They didn't get that sleep, I guarantee you. Ask them. Well, you can't unless you got a Facebook, but don't. I'm joking. Don't. But they probably didn't get that sleep. And they actually finished watching the MLS Cup Final at that party, so they knew what happened too. So speaking about the finish of the MLS Cup Final, let's get to it. 90+3, Seba Giovinco passes it to Armando Cooper, Panamanian loanee. Awesome player, we remember him. Armando Cooper shoots it off the post, right to Victor Vasquez, off his torso, off his waist, into the goal. Tapped in by Victor Vasquez. 2-0, 90+3, seals it for Toronto FC, wins us our first MLS Cup, our first star that would go right there to lead into the 2018 CONCACAF Champions League. Because we're going to talk about that as well. But that second half was immense as well. Defensively stout. Offensively put our foot on their throat still and stomped it out. That's what they do. That's what that 2017 team does. That was beautiful. That was amazing. That is what I think the 2020 team can do. But that 2017 team, my word. That was amazing. So, Toronto FC wins the MLS Cup 2-0, 2017 MLS Cup 2-0. If you like this video, like it, share, subscribe. You know what it is. Tell all your friends. We gonna talk about a frozen tundra of a football tie tomorrow. The round of 16 of the 2018 CONCACAF Champions League. Colorado Rapids versus Toronto FC. We're going to talk about that run as well. I'm Ryan and I'm out. Peace.